It's never as bad as you think in life, and it's never as good as you believe it is in the time. That most of our life is a lot of gray. Is that you remember as a kid those remarkable field trips or those wonderful birthday parties, but it's mostly a bunch of Tuesdays. And in life, we tend to be too fear-based. It's never as bad as we think it is. You take a deep breath, don't panic, overcome, you'll survive. I remember post 9/11, people said capitalism was dead. We overcame a horrible human tragedy. I see this in sports all the time. Overreaction. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Every single time in the NBA, we create a super team, everybody freaks out. Oh my God, the big three in Boston, it's not fair. Can't believe LeBron's going to Miami, man. This is not fair. Kevin Durant's going to the Warriors. This is unfair. Kyrie and LeBron in Cleveland. Miami Heat, 4 years, only 2 titles, and we're a Ray Allen jumper from 1. Celtics, KG, Allen, Pierce, Rondo became a star. 5 years, 1 title. LeBron and Kyrie in love together. Didn't win first year. Lakers put Gary Payton, Karl Malone, Shaq, and Kobe. Never won a final. Golden State. Now KD's hurt. These teams, these super teams are not sustainable. And the reason they're not sustainable is because the super teams, we should relabel them and call them the super old teams. Remember in the NBA, to be a star, you got to be around a while. Even LeBron took a while to come into the league and become LeBron, right? So most of the super teams are a collection of veteran players who have been in the league, who have been multiple All-Stars, who have $100 million of net worth, who have shoe deals. They're 27, they're 28 years old. They got a lot of miles on those tires. They've often played in multiple playoff series. They've often been to finals by themselves before the super team is put together. Super teams are super old teams, and I'll prove it to you. Look at the 5 super teams that have been put together, and the exact same thing has happened to all 5 super teams. Let's start with the Lakers. Gary Payton, Karl Malone, Shaq, and Kobe, totally unfair. What was their undoing? They went into the finals as a favorite, and Karl Malone got hurt. Why? Because he was old. Let's get to the next super team, the Celtics. KG, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, it's unfair. They won a title year 1. It's going to last forever. By the second year, and they were great the first 2 years. The second year, they were 62-20. The first year, they were 66-16. But what happened, Kristine, in that second year? You may have been in Boston, maybe you weren't. Kevin Garnett got hurt. And they were never the same because they got old. Let's go to, they were, next year they won 50. They were not at the old players' tipping point, were now old and had been injured. Let's go to the Miami Heat. Do you remember the Miami Heat where Dwayne Wade was constantly hurt? Chris Bosh was constantly hurt. And their last year in Miami, do you remember what they looked like against the Spurs? Old, tired, beat up, and slow, and LeBron knew it and left. Let's go to LeBron, Kyrie, and Love. This is outrageous. I can't believe it. First year, what happens? Kyrie and Love get hurt in the finals. Now let's go look at the Warriors. Well, what do you know? They're all beat up and hurt. Steph's had multiple injuries. Kevin Durant had 3 surgeries in 6 months 2 years ago, and now he's hurt again. We're petrified of super things. We do this all the time. Life's never as, it may be awful for a moment, but take a deep breath. Life's never as great or as horrific as it feels in the moment. These super teams are super old teams. That Miami Heat team got old fast. Celtics got old fast. Lakers got old fast. This Cavs team, this Warriors team, it's not sustainable. And the other thing is to create a super team, you have to give stuff up. Miami, LeBron, Bosh, Wade, what did they give up? They couldn't get a center. They couldn't afford one. They had no bench. They couldn't get an elite point guard. They couldn't get an elite center. Joel Anthony. They couldn't get an elite bench. That Laker team that had all those guys, Peyton, Malone, Shaq, and Kobe, didn't have a great bench. Got to the finals, Malone was hurt. They got clobbered by the Pistons. This Warriors team, to be a super team, what happened to this Warriors team? They gave up Mo Spates. They gave up David Lee. They gave up Andrew Bogut, Barbosa. They have no bench. They gave up all their size. So we're always, Festus Ezeli they gave him up as well. They gave up like 5 bigs. So to create in a salary cap league, the NBA, a super team, you got to give up bench players that are valuable. Never forget the Warriors won that final. Does anybody remember who was great? Andre Iguodala. You know how many finals a first guy off the bench has been valuable? Go ask Laker fans. Go ask the Bulls fans. It's not just Jordan and Pippen and Kobe and Shaq. A lot of guys coming off the bench, a lot of 5 guys. You got to lose those guys. Harrison Barnes, bye-bye. Andrew Bogut, bye-bye. We got KD coming to town. So we are petrified. We do this all the time. We do it in our life, in business, in politics, in sports. Oh my God, it's never as great in life as you think, and it's never as bad. And if it is awful, it doesn't last forever. And here's the other thing. The 2 other things to remember about these super teams. When you put them together, they may win a title or 2, but it doesn't last because they're old. And when the band breaks up, they go into the tank. How were the Lakers when the band broke up? Shaq left. They were bad for several years. How were the Celtics when the big 3 broke up? Irrelevant for 4 years. How were the Miami Heat post LeBron and Wade and Bosh? They missed the playoffs. So you spend all this money to get the big 3. They're really, really good for 3 or 4 years, get old really fast, injuries and egos add up, suddenly they break up, and the franchise is a mess for years. And the other thing to remember about this, I have been defending LeBron James from day one about taking regular season games off as he has aged. Do you know why he's taking days off? Because LeBron James is now not competing against the NBA. He's competing against history. And LeBron James has a keen sense of history. And LeBron James has looked at that Peyton, Malone, Shaq Celtics team. He's looked at the big 3 in Boston. He has looked at that Miami Heat team. And in all these cases, the exact same things happen. Injuries end the run sooner than expected because they're old veteran teams with too many miles on the tires. And they're good for about 2-3 years, and then they get old and fall apart like the Warriors are. And LeBron James is taking regular season days off because he realizes, I'm not going to be able to form another team like this. I already formed one in Miami, and it got old fast. And we tried to set records in Miami. We had winning streaks we cared about. And we wanted to set regular season records. And they fell apart like the Warriors did last year, trying to set regular season records. So LeBron has said, this is my last team. I want to make it sustainable. I don't want to fall apart like the big 3. I don't want to fall apart like my Miami Heat. I don't want to fall apart like the Lakers. I don't want to fall apart like the Warriors. So he's taking time off to make this last longer. LeBron's always been ahead of everybody. He's always understood. It's not about being the next Michael. Guys didn't always want to play with Michael. It's about sharing the ball and getting smart veterans to take less to come to your team in Miami or Cleveland. LeBron realizes it's not about the regular season, even if he takes heat from the media. It's about sustaining, being healthier and energized, and lasting longer. This morning, that bad LeBron guy who takes regular season games off has never been more fit, has never been healthier. And even this year, he's battling with a J.R. Smith injury and with a Kevin Love injury. Don't be afraid of super teams. A, they don't last very long, and B, once they break up, that franchise turns into crud. You got to kind of sell your soul to be a super team. Pat Riley sold his soul. The Warriors sold their soul. You got to get rid of good bench players. You got to get rid of good bigs. You can't be all things because it's a salary cap league. So once again, take a deep breath. Don't overstay. As bad as life gets in the moment, and it may be awful for a week, it gets better. And as great as things are, don't get cocky. Be humble because it doesn't last forever. These super teams are super old teams, and we're seeing it again now in the Bay Area.